Hey there, it's Gretchen from the future. If you've been watching our videos from the beginning, you know that the last two episodes were parts 1 and part 2 of our passage to Catalina Island and back. This episode, Tim and I sit down a few days after we got back to San Diego and reflected on some of our lessons learned on our first passage, just the two of us. And you'll see our sweet Ocho makes lots of appearances in this video. If you saw the last episode, I shared that I took a hiatus from editing for about a year because just a few months after this trip, we ended up having to put Ocho down. Anyway, it took me a minute to get back to the footage, but it was really fun to see his sweet little fuzzy face. All he loved to do in the world was be with his people. So I hope you enjoy seeing Ocho and hearing us reflect about our first passage, which I guess I consider a success because we didn't sink the boat, so we got that going for us. Enjoy, thanks.
Lesson learned number 1, don't take near an airport.
Don't live near an airport. So, lessons learned from our first Shakedown cruise to Catalina. What's your first lesson?
I have to always wear the leashes on my glasses because I've lost so many pairs of glasses because I won't put those stupid leashes on. And I guess just by the way I say that, I don't like them, but they're a lot cheaper than $600 glasses.
Yes. Okay, one of my lessons learned was on the day we left, it was so foggy and I was worried about it, and almost worried enough when we were looking at the forecast and it just looked like it was going to get more and more socked in, and I was ready to say like maybe we should hold off, but you were eager to get going and I was too, but I was also kind of nervous about it. But we went out. There are two things that we did. We went out to kind of see out past the mouth of the bay where the fog was thicker to see what it felt like. We had alternative plans. We could have anchored outside the mouth of the bay. We could have ditched out and gone to Mission Bay if we got going and weren't comfortable.
Or turned around and come home.
And so, but we got out there. Visibility at its worst was like 1.25 miles. It was comfortable. And we had, our AIS was working, our radar was working, and yeah, it was fine. I think another big lesson learned with the big issue that we ran into that had us end up coming back sooner was running all of your major systems in the most realistic way possible before you head off.
Yeah, we obviously screwed up. We owned the boat for about 2 years, constantly tied to shore power for that entire time.
Except for a day
sail every now and then. And we had no idea what it was going to be like. We trusted the solar was going to charge everything. Never really studied the whole system as a whole and how it all works and goes together.
Assumed our batteries were totally great. We'd never looked, besides just sort of glancing at the volts on this when we're day sailing.
Well, we trusted that solar controller, which ends up, that was the wrong instrument to be looking at. So the good news is it forced us to understand the whole system. We've researched it exhaustively, read a lot of books, asked a lot of questions, answered a lot of questions. Now we know exactly how it works.
Yeah, in hindsight, I would have just unplugged for a weekend. Like we could have just come down here, stayed here for the weekend, unplugged as though we were at anchor and just really watched it. Which leads to the next lesson learned, which is it's nice to have friends.
Oh yeah. But we've seen that on all the YouTube channels that we watch, that everybody helps everybody out. It's a pay it forward world.
Yeah, putting it in your karma bank,
which is awesome. And yeah, that worked out perfect.
So someday we'll pay it forward.
We also learned that the basic Boat US membership is next to useless. So we're probably going to upgrade to
the
what we say the captain's level.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have turned out that it covers $50. And so...
$50 just covers them picking up the phone and talking to you.
Yeah. And so when we called to come have them give us a jump, they first quoted us $155. But then when they figured out where we were, which was around the other side of Catalina Island from Avalon.
Which we told them several times.
Yes.
They didn't pay attention.
They called back and said, oh, it's not $155.
$615.
Yeah.
So then we started scrambling, looking for other options.
So it turns out that the harbor master, he could have given us a jump for like $75.
Correct.
Which that's good to know that, that's a possibility.
But luckily we were visiting with some new friends. He was so generous and knew that his one battery would get him. He's going back to LA. Knew that his was going to be fine. We made the swap. That was great. It worked out awesome. Engine started right up. We were a little afraid to turn the engine off on the way home, so
which
is another lesson learned. We should have tried it several times before we even took off. Then we wouldn't have had to run, because the wind actually was great
coming home.
Coming back, we flew the spinnaker.
Yeah. So we had it in.
We just wanted to charge.
We had it revving, hours. But we were sailing, it was in gear, in neutral, but revving.
Yep.
Is that what you would say?
Yep.
But we flew the spinnaker, which was awesome.
The sail was great during the day.
Although we think it's too small for this boat. We don't think but it worked and it was fun to fly.
Yep.
And we did work all that out before we left. We spent a whole day testing that.
Yeah, it's obvious that we're dinghy sailors, Rhodes 19 sailors, because we made sure all the sailing functionality was perfect. But all this other stuff, engines, batteries, refrigerators,
electronics, what?
Yeah. We didn't spend a lot of time. But it's forced us to learn, and now we know, so it's great.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So
all in all, I think it was a successful shakedown.
Yeah, it really was. I'm looking forward to our next trip.
Yep.
That hopefully we
the boat
can stay
did
out
very
longer.
Well. We're bonding with the boat.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you like this episode, please hit the like button, and we'd love it if you'd subscribe.
Everybody always says all the links are down below, link here. They say there's a link here, but there's never a link here. But that's up to her, so whatever. See you next time.
We wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. All the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future